CNN Headline News, 24/7.
Light today on Wall Street. Market's up 15 points.
Microfleece tunic with a scallop
Billy!
is $849. Sage blue or lavender. Sage blue or lavender.
Daddy needs to watch ESPN.
$15.73.
Curveball settles high. You know this.
Favorite channels list. Now remembering all your favorite channels just got easier. DirecTV. Happy watching.
Today's science lesson is all about our solar system.
Water is essential to all life on Earth, and water... Kyle!
2 trains leave the station at the same time, both heading west if one is traveling.
Okay, Kyle, for a chance at $50,000. 2 trains leave the station at the same time, both heading west. If the first train is traveling...
You should have paid attention in school. Get schooled. Win tuition every night at 8:30 p.m. on Game Show Network. Tune in to Game Show Network on channel 309.
Closed captioning provided by garlic, cholesterol's natural enemy.
Rock guitarist Pete Townsend is in trouble with the law on suspicion of child pornography.
The White House is reacting to reports of how long it'll take inspectors to finish up their work in Iraq.
And an online dating service promises more than long walks and sunsets on the way to finding your perfect match. Live from CNN World Headquarters, this is Headline News. Good evening. I'm Sophia Choi.
And I'm Stephen Frazier. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We'll bring you those stories in just a moment. But first, let's see what some of our correspondents are working on, starting with Jennifer Westhoven at the New York Stock Exchange. Jennifer.
Hi, thank you, Stephen. Well, have you ever used humor to solve a workplace problem? One airline asked that question in interviews. We'll have the latest on that. Now, though, let's go to Los Angeles and see what Candace Gibson has got from the Music Awards.
We are live on the red carpet here in Los Angeles, where the American Music Awards is just getting underway. A live preview coming up.
Candace, thank you very much. We're going to begin with the story of a rock legend who is defending himself against accusations of child pornography this evening.
Alicia Davis is here now with the latest. Alicia?
That's right. Pete Townsend was arrested at his London home today, and he was taken into police custody. That was on suspicion of possessing child pornography. Now, Scotland Yard arrested the legendary Who guitarist regarding his admitted use of a child pornography website. Thus far, Townsend has not been charged. The 57-year-old musician has denied that he is a pedophile, and he says that his visits to the site were purely for research. He says that he was using the site in his work on an autobiography because he believes that he was sexually abused as a child. Now, accessing child pornography on the internet for whatever purpose is a crime in the UK, and Townsend is said to be cooperating with police. Stephen?
Alicia, thank you very much. The United States isn't offering North Korea a deal, but it says it is willing to help meet North Korea's energy needs if that country gives up its pursuit of nuclear weapons. This is the word coming from Assistant Secretary of State James Kelly, who is in Seoul, South Korea tonight. North Korea says it was forced to restart a nuclear reactor to generate power after the United States stopped sending heavy fuel oil shipments. Those shipments were halted after officials said North Korea admitted it was developing uranium for a nuclear weapon.
President Bush insists there is no exact timetable for United Nations arms inspectors to finish their job. A spokesman for the International Atomic Energy Agency says the inspections could actually take about a year. He says it's far better to wait for inspectors to finish their search than to resort to war. The White House says the president thinks it's important for inspectors to have time to do their job.
And the man in charge of that effort says inspectors have widened their net now as they continue to search for weapons of mass destruction. Chief UN Weapons Inspector Hans Blick says this is the result of some Western intelligence. He says whether the quality of the inspections will improve depends on just how good this intelligence turns out to be.
The Pentagon is shooting down a New York Times article that claims U.S. troops are being warned of a possible terrorist attack to come. The Times reported today that American intelligence has learned Terrorists may be planning to bomb a passenger jet contracted to carry military troops and supplies. But CNN has learned it was just part of a hypothetical roundtable discussion among intelligence and law enforcement officials. A senior Defense Intelligence Agency official says he has heard nothing of a threat against the military. Officials do say there has been some discussion about sharing intelligence on security matters with the private sector.
Raging floods and 115-mile-an-hour winds slammed into northern Fiji today as tropical cyclone Ami barreled through. Officials say the storm destroyed homes, even collapsed the walls of a church where 60 people were seeking refuge. Most of them got out, but there are 2 children missing now. All communication was cut to the island of Vanua-Levu, which is home for about 25% of Fiji's 800,000 islanders. Its disaster management center says a number of islands have been completely flattened by this storm.
It's official. Senator Joseph Lieberman is running for president. The Connecticut Democrat made the announcement today at his old high school in Stamford. The 60-year-old was Al Gore's running mate in the 2000 presidential race and the first Jewish politician on a major party ticket. This time around, the Democratic field also includes Senators John Kerry, John Edwards, Congressman Richard Gebhardt, and former Vermont Governor Howard Dean.
Republicans are trying to undo some of the damage that was created after former Senate Majority Leader Trent Lott's comments. Top GOP leaders met with a group of African-American conservatives today. They were talking about education, health care, and other topics, but not all the participants were willing to smooth things out. One civil rights leader says all the meetings in the world won't replace the Republicans' agenda.
Looking for love online is getting more interactive. Yahoo says it will begin offering singles the ability to add voice and video greetings in their online personal ads. Posting a personal is free on Yahoo, but if an entry catches your eye, there is a $25 monthly subscription fee to initiate a relationship. According to American Demographics, 22% of the nation's 98 million singles tried online dating last year.
Well, the stock market didn't do very much by the closing bell. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed higher, but we're talking about 1 point here, virtually no change. The Nasdaq closed down by 1. The S&P 500 also slipped a little bit. Let's take a look at some of the stocks that are most widely held. America Online shares getting a little bit of a boost after, of course, a very big management shakeup. Steve Case saying he will resign. General Electric shares down by a little bit. The company is facing a strike by several thousand workers at midnight tonight. It is scheduled to be just a 2-day strike. And Home Depot shares a little bit to the upside. Now, Southwest Airlines has long been known for its strong finances, especially compared to a lot of other players in the industry, but also for its maverick reputation. And one of the things it used to do to get a lot of laughs, a lot of practical jokes and fun by the cabin crew. Well, 9/11 changed all that for a long time. Passengers just weren't in the mood for joking around. But the Wall Street Journal has a story today saying that flight attendants are cautiously trying to get their passengers to crack some smiles. They had quoted a flight attendant said, "If you smoke in this airplane, the FAA will fine you $2,000. And at those prices, you might as well fly one of the other airlines." And of course, I was mentioning these in the tease because in the job interview process at Southwest, they ask, have you ever used humor to solve a workplace problem? Something that really does a long way to diffuse conflict and tension sometimes. Interesting to see it pop up in the business world. Stephen and Sophia, back to you.
They have a wonderful relationship with their customers, the flyers, and I think that does a lot of it. It goes a long way.
It sure does.
Jennifer, thank you.
Use a little sugar, huh? Well, President Bush is taking a little bit of a beating.
Yeah, maybe he could use a little sugar these days. We'll show you how some Americans are rating his job performance. Plus, you might be surprised to learn how many school-age children are taking behavioral and psychiatric medications. We'll bring you more on that story coming up.
Business Today is brought to you by Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer.
It has a legendary reputation for reliability, durability, and quality. It's been named to Car and Driver's 10 Best list 14 times. It was the first gasoline-powered production automobile to be certified as a low-emission vehicle in the U.S. And the best part is, it's used. Honda certified used cars. Proof that how you start out in life is a good indication of how far you'll go. You see, it may be used, but it's still a Honda.
It's almost 200,000 people in over 40 countries, working as one. It's 10 inventions every business day. And not all of them automotive. It's going from the Indy 500 to the Fortune 500. It's Delphi, where slowing down is not an option. Gotta go.
Refinancing your mortgage is fast and easy with Ditech.com.
Ditech's loan process was great. They helped us accomplish several things. We combined a first and a second. We got cash out, and we went to a 15-year loan. It was a wonderful experience.
If you're thinking about refinancing your mortgage, call or log on to Ditech.com for today's low fixed rate. Our loan process is fast and easy. Ditech.com. Call 1-800-71-FIXED.
For more than a year, President Bush has been pretty much untouchable in public opinion polls. Maybe not anymore. The latest CNN USA Today Gallup poll shows President Bush with an approval rating of 58%. While that would be good for most presidents, it's down 5 points from where Mr. Bush was just a week ago and continues a downward trend that began last fall. The president gets his highest marks when it comes to his handling of defense issues, but his rating on world affairs such as Iraq and North Korea has dropped in the past week, and his score on the economy and the budget are at the lowest levels of his presidency. In the wake of Mr. Bush's new economic stimulus plan, the public thinks his policies favor the wealthiest Americans. And when it comes to the 2004 presidential election, those surveyed will definitely be voting their pocketbooks. An overwhelming majority say the economy, not terrorism, will be the main issue that will influence their vote. 1 month after resigning as Treasury Secretary, Paul O'Neill is now questioning the president's tax cut plan. According to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, O'Neill said the Bush proposal to eliminate taxes on stock dividends would do little to improve the economy. O'Neill also said some of the money from Mr. Bush's $674 billion plan would be better spent to shore up Social Security. The remarks came after a taping of a public affairs program in Pittsburgh on Friday. Environmentalists are dreading a new report from the Bush administration this week. On Thursday, the White House plans to release a new estimate of oil and gas reserves on federal lands in the West. Environmentalists fear it could lead to more drilling in pristine areas. The Wilderness Society says if more drilling is allowed in western national forests and monuments, it would only produce enough natural gas to supply the U.S. for about 11 weeks and only enough crude oil for just 3 days. There could be something, or should I say someone, missing from next month's NBA All-Star Game. Larry Smith has details now in sports. Larry.
And how strange is this, huh? 12-time All-Star. We won't find out until next week, but there is a very good chance that Michael Jordan was not elected to start in next month's All-Star Game, and MJ is okay with that. 12-time All-Star Game starter, many with the Chicago Bulls, one last year with the Wizards, says he won't mind taking a few days off if he is not elected to start for the Eastern Conference. The game will take place just a week before his 40th birthday. Voting ended yesterday with the latest incomplete results showing MJ third among East guards behind Tracy McGrady and Allen Iverson.
I've played enough All-Star games to know what it feels like, and I'm not opposed to letting the young kids go in and do things. I mean, it'd be great relaxation for me and my family. It's a different era, and you know, it's time for me to step aside and let some of these kids move in, and that doesn't bother me not one bit.
Jordan stepping down at season's end. The Australian Open is underway. In fact, round two already underway tonight, down under day two, I should say. A big name has already gone down. Jennifer Capriati struggling versus Marlene Weingartner, playing on center court on a Grand Slam event for the first time ever, but you couldn't tell. 2-6, 7-6, 6-4. She becomes the first defending women's champ to lose in the first round of the Australian Open. Well, the final tally is in on what Mike Tyson's second divorce will cost him. A year after she filed for divorce, accusing the former heavyweight boxing champ of adultery, Monica Turner Tyson gets custody of the couple's 2 children, a Connecticut mansion worth nearly $5 million, their Maryland mansion in which she and her children live worth about $4 million, plus another $6.5 million in future earnings in addition to the money that Tyson has already paid. Tyson returns to the ring next month versus Clifford Etienne in Memphis. We have to fight a little longer to pay off all that money, I think.
Boy, that is some payout, huh?
It's a lot of cash.
Yeah. You have a favorite musician up for an AMA award?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I'm sorry. I do, but I just don't want to tell you who it is.
Okay, well, the American Music Awards, as we said, has just gotten underway in Los Angeles, and we'll get a live update from Kendis Gibson in Los Angeles when we come back. We'll see if any of your favorites are up.
With advanced off-road technology, an available third-row seat, and a powerful 4.7-liter V8 engine, the new Lexus GX is an adventure in luxury.
What can handlebars teach us about financial relationships? You have to reach out to make them work. They're most valuable when faced with the unexpected. Wisdom is everywhere. Uncommon wisdom is knowing how to apply it. Wachovia Securities. Talk to us.
As the world faces the possibility of war, CNN is there.
Christiana Manpour, CNN, reporting from Kuwait.
In Ramallah on the West Bank.
Damascus.
With the largest team of journalists on the front lines.
700 sites need to be inspected.
From right here in the U.S.
At the State Department.
For CNN, the Pentagon, the White House. To the streets of the Middle East.
CNN, Riyadh. Beirut, Cairo, Jerusalem.
As the showdown with Iraq continues, stay with CNN.
Let's check the latest developments now. Troubles for Pete Townsend. The rock legend from The Who is out on bail now after he was arrested today on suspicion of possession and manufacture of indecent images of children. Townsend has denied being a pedophile. He says he accessed online child porn while researching a book he's writing.
The International Atomic Emergency Agency says it could take about a year to wrap up weapons inspections in Iraq. They're expected to pore over hundreds of sites before they finish their job. The inspectors are due to make a progress report to the UN later this month.
And Senator Joe Lieberman says he's going to take a crack at President Bush next year. Today, the Democrat from Connecticut announced his bid for the presidency in 2004. Lieberman was Al Gore's running mate in the 2000 election. More arrests in Britain now related to last week's discovery of a highly toxic poison there. Scotland Yard says anti-terrorist authorities have arrested 6 people over this weekend at an apartment on England's southern coast. No chemicals were found there. Police sources tell CNN today's arrests are related, though, to last week's discovery of traces of the deadly poison ricin during a raid in North London. 4 of the 7 people arrested then appeared today in court on terror charges.
Jury selection began today in the espionage trial of Brian Patrick Regan. He's accused of offering satellite secrets to Saddam Hussein and others for $13 million in Swiss currency. If convicted, he could get the death penalty, something that hasn't happened in U.S. spy trials in 50 years. Usually, the government negotiates a plea agreement with people accused of spying. Prosecutors often think that's better than releasing information that could help other spies learn how to avoid detection. But analysts say it is unlikely the government will strike such a deal at this late date.
Reading, writing, and Ritalin, all part of childhood these days. A new study shows a surge in the number of American school-age children and adolescents who are taking Ritalin or antidepressants and psychiatric drugs. The research indicates a spurt between 1987 and 1996, and some experts say that trend has not stopped. They also complain that American kids are being over-medicated. Others say not all children who need treatment are receiving it, so it's controversial. The study appears in this month's issue of Archives of Pediatrics and Adolescent Medicine.
New York City schools will get a helping hand from the man who turned General Electric into a bigger success story. Former GE executive Jack Welch will chair the advisory board of the Leadership Academy of New York City's Department of Education. A department spokesman says Welch was chosen because of his success in running GE's in-house Leadership Academy. New York's Leadership Academy is part of School Chancellor Joel Klein's plan to boost the recruitment and training of principals.
Twins who were once joined at the head are now home 5 months after their surgery to separate them. The 17-month-old girls and their parents left Mattel Children's Hospital at UCLA this morning to take their 5-hour flight to Guatemala. Once home, of course, they face additional surgeries to stretch out their scalps. These procedures will eliminate the need for skin grafts and will permit the girls to grow full heads of hair. The toddlers, of course, were joined at the skull for the first 377 days of their lives, but in August, an international team separated them during 23 hours of surgery that went well.
Hi, I'm Alicia Davis, and in entertainment, the American Music Awards kicked off a few minutes ago with a live performance by Elton John and Tim McGraw, and then the hosts, the Osbournes, opened the show with a string of bleeps. I tell you, it is going to be a long night for the censors as those awards are being handed out, and our man Candace Gibson is out in Los Angeles covering all the action, and we're going to go to him now for the latest. Candace.
I'll tell you, my ears haven't recovered from that opening montage from the Osbournes, but definitely something, Alicia, that the censors expected. The excitement underway here, the red carpet pretty much clearing out, as you can tell behind me. Many of the celebrities making their way through here within the last couple of hours inside the Shrine Auditorium. One of them included Nelly, who, as you know, sold nearly as many CDs last year as Eminem did. He sold 6 million copies of his CD and had couple of #1 hits, Hot in Here and Dilemma with Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child. I asked him about these award shows because, you know, he's done many of them. Asked him if this is all old hat.
I care about every award, you know what I'm saying? Anytime people want to show me appreciation, I appreciate it, you know. But the American Music Awards, you know, Dick has showed us nothing but love since I've been into it, you know. So we have no problems with showing up for Dick, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you want to break me off a couple of awards, I'm with it.
He with it. Okay. Also talking about the Osbournes, you know, the whole family is hosting the show, Kelly and Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne. But, you know, one thing about Ozzy Osbourne, it's, okay, so they do have to beep, but how do the censors even know when to bleep some of his comments? Because it's hard to understand what he had to say. Kelly actually answered whether or not we would need a translator for her dad.
I don't get it because I can just understand him, but I understand how, like, I think it's just because I've lived in my whole life, but I think I'm the only one that can understand everything that he says. Like, I'm the translator, but it's, you know, I think he's been working on stuff, you know, like, because we got the script, so he's been going through it, and it's only when he mumbles and he doesn't really know what he's about to say that you can't understand what he's saying.
Well, this is one of those big nights for the music industry that has been hurting over the last couple of years. Last year, about 16 million people tuned in for the American Music Awards. Are hoping for those same sort of numbers and hoping that those people, Alicia, will end up going to buy CDs. Alicia?
All right. Well, thank you, Candace. They are off to an exciting start.
Yep.
And we're going to check back in with Candace in the next hour. Right now, that is going to do it for entertainment. Stephen, Sophia?
Just keep your finger on the bleeper button there, Alicia.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. See you later. Well, we're told now that reaching out to touch someone is becoming more difficult.
Especially if you're trying to do it by payphone. Up next, the reason why so many of them are being sent into payphone purgatory. For some viewers, local news is next.
Told you this thing was awesome. The world's first 60-inch plasma HD TV from Zenith, an epic experience just 4 inches deep. From the high-definition authority, Zenith.
Today we're going to see how a customer order turns into their perfect PC.
All the orders come in here. Don't forget the website. I mean, all the orders come in either here or the website.
I put it all together. Big old hard drive, extra memory for performance, CD burner. Don't touch that. Every machine's a custom job.
They call you the customizer?
No, they don't.
After testing, I pack it up and ship it out. An award-winning 24/7 service and support goes with it.
Happy trails, little buddy. Hope S. Jackson gives you a good home.
Get America's favorite PC. Like this Dimension desktop for just $649, featuring an Intel Pentium 4 processor for awesome performance for today's digital entertainment, recording music, sharing photos, gaming, and beyond. And for a limited time, you'll get free shipping. Get great deals on notebooks, too.
Dude, we're getting another Dell.
Sweet! When you want your perfect PC, it's easy as Dell. Dell PCs use Intel Pentium 4 processors.
CNN Headline News. It's the news you need. From 9 to 5 to thinking ahead, feeling your best, or just starting your day. It's news that impacts you. From tech trends to the celebrity scene. Who wins? Who loses? We're keeping score of it all. With news when you need it. CNN Headline News. News at your speed.
In this age of cell phones, payphones are becoming disconnected, if you will. As Julie Valise reports, though, there are still places where you can find them. You just might have to do a little searching.
This phone's dial tone is being disconnected.
My company and the companies and the association that I represent, we are removing payphones on a very regular basis.
It's a nationwide trend. In the mid-1990s, the number of payphones reached a peak. There were about 2.7 million of them. That number is now down to about 1.9 million. This phone will be rerouted here to a kind of payphone purgatory. All of these phones have outlived their usefulness, but could reconnect at a new location. They have their high-tech brethren to blame. There are now 92 million cell phones in America.
Cell phones have contributed towards a decline in payphone usage. There's no doubt about that.
A cell phone call may cost less than your local average payphone call, which costs about 50 cents. But it may not be as reliable. On September 11th, 2001, cell phone use was almost completely shut down in the New York area, but people lined up at payphones and were able to make calls. So while you might not be able to pass a person on the street that isn't talking on a cell phone, what are the chances you'll pass a payphone?
I certainly think they will be here, at least for our lifetimes. I don't see them becoming dinosaurs quite yet. As long as there are people that need payphones or want to use them, payphones are going to continue to exist.
You just might have to look a little harder. In Washington, I'm Julie Valise.
The countdown for Thursday's historic space shuttle launch is now underway. When Columbia lifts off, it will carry Israel's first astronaut. In keeping with post-September 11th security procedures, the actual launch time won't be made public until Wednesday. Columbia's crew will be responsible for NASA's most ambitious shuttle science mission in years. It calls for 59 separate experiments covering life sciences, space science, and material development.
Come on, be a trooper. That's what many would-be Girl Scouts would like to do, but a shortage of volunteer troop leaders is keeping them on a waiting list now. Spokeswoman for the Girl Scouts says the problem is mostly in sparsely populated and conversely in large urban centers. Some girls wait as long as a year to put on the green uniform, so the organization is finding alternatives now, including troops that meet monthly instead of weekly, and the use of mothers as troop leaders on weekends.
A small Washington state town may be turning to a psychedelic blast from the past to revive its tourist trade. Civic leaders in Soap Lake are seriously considering an architect's idea to build a 60-foot high lava lamp in the center of downtown Soap Lake. The project would cost about millions of dollars, and it has yet to find a financial backer.
If you smell bad, Bend, Oregon doesn't want you on its city buses. The city is proposing to ban anyone from the bus who engages in a number of objectionable behaviors, including smelling bad. Bend has an ordinance that prohibits people from releasing what it calls highly objectionable odors from their property, and now a city attorney says this new proposal is an extension of that, an effort to give bus passengers a more pleasant ride, safer one too. City Council will consider preliminary approval of this on Wednesday.
In the next half hour, keeping schools safe, we will talk to an expert in a live report. I'm Sophia Choi.
And I'm Stephen Frazier. You're watching Headline News.
From TNT, a world premiere special event.
You really love this life, don't you, Monty?
Yes, I do.
On a changing frontier, he was the last cowboy.
Nobody gets to be a cowboy forever, Monty.
From the director of Lonesome Dove.
I ain't doing nothing I can't do from a horse.
Tom Selleck is Monty Walsh. One epic Western. 3 chances to watch. See it Friday, Saturday, or Sunday at 8. Beginning Friday night on TNT. We know drama.
Hello,
everybody. I'm Robin Meade. Tuesday morning on Headline News, as many as 20,000 workers at some GE plants could walk off the job on Tuesday. We'll check in to have the latest on that situation. Also, we've got some numbers due out that may tell you how the economy is trucking along. More on that. And then in entertainment, get the outcome of the American Music Awards from LA. Our Candace Gibson is there and will join us live. I'm Robin Meade. All that between 6 and 9 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
CNN Headline News, 24/7.
Today we're going to see how a customer order turns into their perfect PC.
All the orders come in here. Don't forget the website. I mean, all the orders come in either here or the website.
I put it all together. Big old hard drive, extra memory for performance, CD burner. Don't touch that. Every machine's a custom job.
They call you the customizer?
No, they don't.
After testing, I pack it up and ship it out. An award-winning 24/7 service and support goes with it.
Happy trails, little buddy. Hope S. Jackson gives you a good home.
Get America's favorite PC. Like this Dimension desktop for just $649, featuring an Intel Pentium 4 processor for awesome performance for today's digital entertainment, recording music, sharing photos, gaming, and beyond. And for a limited time, you'll get free shipping. Get great deals on notebooks, too.
Dude, we're getting another Dell.
Sweet! When you want your perfect PC, it's easy as Dell. Dell PCs use Intel Pentium 4 processors.
Al Gore's former running mate announces his own bid for the presidency.
The Who's legendary guitarist finds himself in some trouble. Child pornography.
And the most popular music file swapping company in the United States sings the blues over a judge's decision.
Live from CNN World Headquarters, this is Headline News. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Stephen Frazier.
And I'm Sophia Choi. Welcome. Topping the news this half hour, Senator Joseph Lieberman is throwing his hat into the presidential ring. Today, the three-term Connecticut Democrat announced his intent to run for president next year at his former high school in Stamford, Connecticut. Lieberman was Al Gore's running mate in 2000 and the first Jewish politician on a major party ticket. The 60-year-old is perhaps the most conservative of the Democrats who have announced plans to run. He co-sponsored the Senate resolution authorizing President Bush to use military action to disarm Iraq.
Rock and roll luminary Pete Townsend has been released now from police custody in London, where he is suspected of child pornography crimes. Police arrested the lead guitarist for The Who on suspicion of possessing indecent images of children. He was also thought to be accused of incitement to distribute those images. Townsend says he's not a pedophile, but he does acknowledge he used a website advertising child porn. Says he was doing research for an autobiography because he thinks he himself was sexually abused as a child.
The showdown between the United States and Iraq could take longer to play out than conventional wisdom had led many of us to believe. First, the weapons inspectors in Iraq say it could take another year for them to complete their work. That's according to a spokesman for the International Atomic Energy Agency, who says the delay would be, quote, worth the wait. UN Secretary General Kofi Annan agrees that the extra time is necessary. Weapons inspection teams are expected to report on their progress to the UN Security Council on January 27th. The president isn't shooting down the inspectors' request, at least not yet. The White House says it hasn't set a timetable on when inspectors must complete their search for banned weapons in Iraq. Spokesman Ari Fleischer says President Bush believes it's important for inspectors to have their time to do their job. And that comes as another delay factor may be materializing. U.S. officials say it could take months to take care of logistics in the Persian Gulf should the United States decide to launch an attack. That could push the timeline back several months, which then gets into another tricky bit of planning. Officials tell Reuters news agency that U.S. military planners are reluctant to wage war in the hot Iraqi summer.
Despite those reports, though, more U.S. soldiers are getting their deployment orders right now. Officials at Fort Bragg, North Carolina say 5,000 troops there got word today that they're being repositioned for the war on terrorism. Marines from nearby Camp Lejeune are also heading out too. They took a hovercraft out to ships offshore. Troops and hovercraft and a lot of other equipment are being transported to those ships right now. 4 Virginia-based ships left their home ports yesterday, including this one, the USS Bataan. The Pentagon is dismissing a New York Times article which reports U.S. troops are being warned of a possible terrorist attack. The Times reported today that American intelligence has learned terrorists may be planning to bomb a passenger jet contracted to carry military troops and supplies. But CNN has been told this was just part of a hypothetical discussion among intelligence and law enforcement officials. A senior Defense Intelligence Agency official says he has heard nothing of any threat against the military.
British Prime Minister Tony Blair is once again defending his hardline stance on Iraq. Blair told reporters today he, quote, passionately believes Iraq should give up its weapons of mass destruction or face being disarmed by force. He says he would never send British troops to war unless he felt there was a direct threat to Britain's national security.
The White House is playing down any perception that the U.S. might reward North Korea for its defiant stance in this dispute over its nuclear weapons program. Assistant Secretary of State James Kelly had said the United States would consider giving energy aid to North Korea in return for North Korea ending nuclear weapons development. But Presidential Press Secretary Ari Fleischer said this was not an offer of a deal. He did say North Korea could become a respected nation again if it meets its nuclear obligations.
The markets ended the day pretty much where they opened today.
Some days we'll take that.
Yeah.
Jennifer Westhoven is at the New York Stock Exchange. She has details on this Monday.
I don't know if you want to take it, though. Early in the session, the market was looking all right, but then it ended up closing just about unchanged for the day. The Dow closed up, but this is barely up. This is by 1 point, and the Nasdaq closed down. Same thing, by just 1 point for the day. Take a look at some of the big tech stocks we were watching for the session. Shares of Cisco moving. Dell shares saw a little bit of a drop on the day, though. Some negative comments there coming from an analyst. Some concern there about the fact that personal computer sales tend to drop off after the holiday season. A lot of times people make those big ticket items for the holidays. Sun Microsystems sliding just a little bit on the session. The Nasdaq was a little bit weaker compared to the rest of the market. You've probably heard about a lot of problems that have been facing the music industry lately. There have been a lot of reasons given. One that's the most obvious one that the record companies complain about is that people are going to the web for new songs. You also hear things about a lack of new talent. But although across the board in nearly every category sales fell last year, country music swelled, up 12% to much better, far and away ahead of all the other packs out there. Some of the artists that helped out there, Shania Twain, for instance. This is according to some data that was put together by the New York Times from a company called SoundScan. They also had Faith Hill and Dixie Chicks and Tim McGraw helping out. Jazz came in second, but it barely edged out again. And rap, which gets a lot of press, sales there down 6.4%. Even Christian music, Stephen, I know you were mentioning this before, slipped fractionally last year. Back to you.
Oh, that was old news. I was giving you news from a year ago. But what you're reporting now is such music to our producer's ears. I think she's going to give you more time.
Yeah, she loves country music. But you know what? A lot of those artists, those country artists, are crossover artists now into the pop culture, too.
That means even we have heard of them.
Yeah. Well, it's that way with rap too, though, right?
Yeah,
right.
You got a point there.
Great point, Jennifer. Thank you. Good stories.
Well, is violence becoming elementary in elementary school?
Up next, we'll talk with an expert about what appears to be an alarming trend, violence moving downward, younger all the time. Stay with us.
Australia. With people this friendly, with value this good. 12 nights in Sydney, Melbourne and the Great Barrier Reef, all for $17.99 from Los Angeles. Qantas brings you more wonders down under. Call 800-89-KOALA. We can't wait to say good day.
There's no reason why that ball should have gone through Buckner's legs. There's no reason why.
Well, it used to be that elementary school teachers did not have to worry about being physically abused by students, but that might be changing. Some elementary school principals say they're seeing more violence and aggression than ever among their youngest students. Ken Trump is the president of the National School Safety and Security Services, a consulting firm specializing in school safety, and he joins us now live from Cleveland. Thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Trump.
Thanks for having me back, Sophia.
So is this trend happening for real, or is this just more reporting that we're looking at?
Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more violence and violent outbursts and aggressive behavior across the schoolhouse door at a younger age. We're seeing it in the form of student-to-student aggression as well as student-to-teacher aggression. And today, unfortunately, when a student raises his hand, we're hoping that it's to ask a question, but we also don't know whether or not it might be to strike another person in a classroom.
Well, so where is this violence coming from? Why is it on the rise?
Well, we have to look at the fact that if we're talking elementary school, we're talking about something that's coming from the home and the society into the school. And the reality is our teachers spend a longer shift today with children many times than their parents do. So a lack of supervision, parental skills, the influences of the broader society and at home are coming into the school, and our teachers are not quite prepared to deal with those.
So at this point, they have no training, no counseling?
Well, teachers are lacked adequate training to deal with this at the elementary level, particularly compared to their counterparts at the high schools and at the middle schools. And they also don't have a lot of referral sources, counselors, school psychologists, and other support services to turn over the students to for some counseling and help.
What about this new federal law that lets parents transfer their children from schools determined to be persistently dangerous? I mean, will that help the situation? Or do you think we'll see underreporting, that principals won't report these violent incidences to keep their schools safe,
well,
in that safe category at least?
Right. Well, it's certainly well-intended law, but unfortunately it could be easily lost in the politics of implementation. States could write definitions that schools couldn't possibly meet, and unfortunately pressure will be on school administrators and might result in underreporting and a non-reporting of school crime.
So where does this leave schools in the future?
Well, today's principal has to deal with every threat from bullying to snipers and potential terrorism in our schools. Hopefully, we won't find a tunnel vision on academic performance, which is important, but we need to make sure that we balance that out with school safety. Schools have to be safe in order for students to learn and achieve academically, and schools have to be prepared by training their staff, evaluating their security, and testing and exercising their crisis plans to deal with a variety of situations.
But that takes money.
It takes money, but it also takes more time in many cases than it does money to have personnel spend the time for training, which is very limited for our teachers, to have a crisis team in a school, to have prevention programs where we have additional adults and resources. So money is a part of it, but it also takes time, and elementary schools in particular are struggling for resources. When our secondary schools, our high schools and middle schools don't have them, it's even more difficult for elementary schools to find the resources to deal with these issues early on. But ironically, the problem just moves up and escalates when students move up in their upper years as well. So it's quite a difficult situation.
It sure is. It is just astounding to think that this is happening even in kindergarten. Thank you so much, Ken Trump. He's the president of the National School Safety and Security Services, a consulting firm.
Thank you, Sophia.
Sports now with Larry Smith, who's telling us it's time to see whether the Buccaneers' big investment 1 year ago, which I think was an investment in a high-paid coach, will pay off. A high-paid and highly productive.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to find out, too. And boy, did they really cough up a lot to get this guy. There's no question. 4 high draft picks, an $8 million payment. That was what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers paid just to talk to then Oakland Raiders coach John Gruden. Well, Sunday they'll find out if it was worth it. All that not to mention the $17.5 million contract they signed John Gruden to. His Buccaneers are in the NFC title game for just the 3rd time ever, and the 2nd time in 4 years after whipping San Francisco on Sunday. Now come the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that beat the Bucs this season and in the last 2 playoffs.
We have not played well. We have been beaten decisively by an excellent football team in previous engagements. But we are not flying, you know, Jiminy. We're gonna play this game. We're getting on the plane. We're 13-4. We're coming off a great victory, and by George, we'll be there, and we're gonna do everything we can to win.
It's all or nothing. They know that, and they're gonna come in here prepared. We know that, and we're gonna be prepared. And it's gonna be a tough game. It's not gonna be anything easy about this game.
The winner plays either Oakland or Tennessee in the Super Bowl. Steve Lavin has put together 6 20-win seasons in as many years as UCLA's basketball coach, but the Orange County Register is reporting that he has talked with friends about the possibility of resigning. The Bruins have struggled to a 4-7 start, and after Saturday's loss to St. John's, they have the second most home losses in team history. Steve, hang in there. Time now for the
play of the day.
And we go to hockey overtime play. Malan Hiduk gets stopped, but if at first you don't succeed, you got it. Go top shelf with the backhand. One more look at it. Hiduk up over the shoulder of Kevin Weeks for the game winner. 3-2 Avalanche get the win. This all on Sunday, but it's still good enough for your Monday
play of the day.
Play of the day.
Thank you, Sophia, for playing along. That's sports. We'll see you next half hour. Let's go back to you guys.
Hey, better late than never.
That's, well, we're glad. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it was a hesitation shot, you know, so a hesitation read.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
That works for me.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks. Well, in this day of internet dating, Yahoo is taking the blindfold off of blind dates.
So if you're on the market for a mate, you'll want to hear what Yahoo is offering up for you. That story's coming up in Hot Wire.
Play of the Day is brought to you by Gateway, a better way.
My new baby's name is Max. He's waking up about now. My business partner's name is Joe.
This has everything you're looking for. It has.
I see him more than I see Max. It's also my birthday. And I wouldn't mind working from home today.
Gateway PCs feature Intel Pentium 4 processors.
Hi, I'm Emmett.
And I'm not.
We may not look it.
But we're a lot alike.
We both like giving back to the community.
And we're both considered quite stylish.
And we both believe that phone service should be simple.
Oh yeah, like 10-10-220.
It's cheap, whether you use it a little or a lot.
99 cents for all calls up to 20 minutes.
And there are no monthly commitments.
So you only pay for the calls you make. So, what do you think of the shirt?
Too loud.
What do you think of the shirt?
Dial 10-10-220.
So if I ran an online trading company, here's the way it would work. You'd make your trade, you'd pay the fee, a standard fee, no order handling fees or share limitations. I guess I'd run it like Ameritrade.
At Ameritrade, every online equity trade is 1099, including stop and limit orders. No handling fees, no share limits, no gimmicks. Ameritrade, what's your share? Open an account at Ameritrade.com today and get 25 commission-free internet equity trades, and you could be trading the same day you apply.
Cholesterol concerns me, so this got my attention. Garlic has been clinically shown to help maintain normal cholesterol, and garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. Garlic, cholesterol's natural enemy.
Checking the latest developments for you now. Rock and roll legend Pete Townsend is in police custody, suspected of possessing child porn, although he has not been charged. The Who's lead guitarist was arrested at his South London home. Townsend claims he was doing research for his autobiography when he looked at illegal images on the internet.
The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency says weapons inspections in Iraq could take as long as 1 more year. A spokesman says it would be worth the wait, though, to be thorough rather than resort to war.
The Navy is preparing to deploy a 7-ship armada to the Persian Gulf as early as this week, loaded with 6,000 to 7,000 Marines from California. Eventually, the size of the U.S. force for a possible war against Iraq could reach 250,000.
More suspects are under arrest this evening in connection with last week's discovery of a deadly poison, ricin, in a London apartment. Police took 6 people into custody over this weekend under the Terrorism Act of 2000. 7 others, remember, were arrested last week, and 4 of those appeared in court today. Ricin can kill a human being within days, and there's no antidote or treatment for it.
Jury selection began today in the espionage trial of Brian Patrick Regan. Regan is accused of offering satellite secrets to Saddam Hussein and others for $13 million in Swiss currency. He could get the death penalty, something that hasn't happened in U.S. spy trials in 50 years. Usually, the government negotiates a plea agreement with people accused of spying. Prosecutors often think that is better than releasing information that could help other spies learn how to avoid detection. But analysts say it is unlikely the government will strike such a deal at this late date.
The U.S. Supreme Court refused to get involved today in several cases. That means the verdicts in them will stand. It rejected, for example, a free speech dispute over an art project which was designed to help grieving students at Columbine High School. Justices had been asked to decide whether school officials at Columbine violated the First Amendment when they excluded religious expressions from that display of commemorative tiles. The court also refused to hear an appeal by Sirhan Sirhan to overturn his conviction for assassinating Senator Robert F. Kennedy in 1968. Sirhan had argued that his defense lawyer was secretly working with the government to win his conviction rather than his acquittal. And finally, the justices have turned down an appeal by Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and Daimler Chrysler, who were all seeking to limit their exposure to lawsuits filed by people who say that asbestos in car brake pads made them ill.
The service, which embarrassed TV networks in the 2000 election by twice leading them to falsely declare a winner in Florida's presidential balloting, is out. CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox News, NBC, and the Associated Press are doing away with Voter News Service. They built the consortium to count votes and conduct election day surveys. They're considering other options now for sharing vote counts and exit poll surveys, including using the AP, which has long conducted its own separate count. Time for Hot Wired now, and Renee San Miguel is off, but we're going to continue with some Hot Wired news for you. A Los Angeles federal judge has declared record companies can proceed with a lawsuit against a company that's brought thousands of songs to the internet. Charmin Networks owns Kazaa, the most popular online free file swapping service in the United States. However, because it's headquartered in Australia, Charmin argued that it isn't regulated by U.S. laws. The judge disagreed, saying that Charmin's Kazaa software has been downloaded millions of times and it engages in a, quote, significant amount of contact with California residents.
Also in Hot Wired now, Yahoo is making it easier than ever to test the waters a bit before heading out on the town with a date you've found over the internet. That is because Yahoo is adding voice and video capabilities to its Yahoo Personals website. A Yahoo spokeswoman told us earlier today that the move is a natural evolution of its matchmaking service, and Yahoo is doing this to meet customers' needs. Here's the video, although we don't have the voice turned up. It's a free feature, but Yahoo Personals service run about $50 for 3 months' time.
I still think if you're desperate enough, you can have a stand-in. You know?
Hello.
Yes, that's right.
Hello there. Well, who's walking away with all the hardware tonight?
Well, just ahead, an American Music Awards update. For some of you, though, your local news is next. Stay tuned.
Technology Update is brought to you by HP. HP technology, services, and people help make more things more possible.
Today, HP technology is producing prodigies of speed and discovering new directions in film. It's investigating new worlds out there and in us. And it's making the global economy more global. For the world's great companies, thinkers, and doers, HP makes more things more possible.
There's a place that I travel when I want to roam, and nobody knows it but me. The roads don't go there, and the signs stay home, and nobody knows it but me. It's far, far away, and way, way afar. It's over the moon and the sea. And wherever you're going, that's wherever you are. And nobody knows it but me. Chevy Tahoe, like a rock.
Every Wednesday night, it's an all-new episode of Court TV's Forensic Files.
We might be onto something here.
The hit show where science meets investigation.
The only thing we wanted was the truth.
Every Wednesday, an all-new case.
Detective work and technology.
Every Wednesday, an all-new mystery.
If you're going to commit a crime, be careful about today's technology.
Court TV's Forensic Files. All new episodes every Wednesday night. Only on Court TV.
How old do you have to be to run away from home? 8, 68, somewhere in between? What would you take with you? And where would you go if you could go anywhere? We have a lot of places to explore out there. The kind of places that require a map and a friend. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo country, and with values like this, they're easy to explore. Alamo, the official rental car of the American vacation.
New Yorkers can weigh in today on what should replace the World Trade Center towers, and at issue is how big is too big. 5 of the 9 designs for a replacement propose buildings that are taller than the world's tallest building. It's currently in Malaysia. The founder of the World Trade Center restoration movement says failing to rebuild full scale would put nearby landmarks at risk. One community group agrees something tall and distinctive should go up at the site, but that group says it should stop short of being ostentatious. New York will select a final plan in the next few weeks.
The Queen of England will be putting her feet up for a while. According to Buckingham Palace, Queen Elizabeth II underwent a minor operation today to remove torn cartilage in her right knee. The palace says the 45-minute procedure went very well, but it will still be a few weeks before she's fully active again. The 76-year-old monarch should check out of a London hospital tomorrow morning. She'll rest for 2 weeks and then resume a limited schedule of engagements. The palace says there is no cause for concern here.
Twins who were once joined at the head are returning home now. In fact, they have landed 5 months after their separation surgery. The 17-month-old girls and their parents left Mattel Children's Hospital at UCLA this morning. It's a 5-hour flight to Guatemala. At home, they face additional surgeries to stretch their scalps. These are procedures that will eliminate the need for skin grafts and will permit the girls to grow full heads of hair. The toddlers, remember, were joined at the skull for the first 377 days of their lives. In August, an international team separated them during 23 hours of surgery that were successful.
This year's winner of the Elvis impersonator contest in Tokyo had the king spirit, just not his sex. This woman rocked the judges' world with her rendition of Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good. They said her style was true Presley. The annual contest held by the Tokyo chapter of the Elvis Presley Fan Club commemorated Elvis's 68th birthday. Organizers say the contest is more about capturing the king of rock and roll's spirit, not necessarily his form.
If you want to keep score of the awards show that Dick Clark built, we have you covered now. Some of the winners are in at the 30th Annual American Music Awards underway right now. Sheryl Crow has scored the Best Female Pop Rock Artist. Ashanti won for Best New Hip Hop or R&B Artist. She was nominated for 5 awards. The Favorite Country Female Artist Award went to Martina McBride. Rappers Eminem and Nelly are each nominated in 4 categories. The nominees are chosen based on their record sales, and winners are then selected by a survey of 20,000 listeners. Hosting the event this year, none other than the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne, his eccentric brood in tow. Elton John and Tim McGraw kicked off the show. They sang a duet. Ja Rule and Christina Aguilera are also among the performers. And coming up in our next half hour, Candace Gibson will join us live from LA with the latest from the American Music Awards. And just ahead, we'll be updating all the day's top stories, so stay with us. I'm Stephen Frazier.
And I'm Sophia Choi, and now here's Toby Keith, nominated for 2 AMA Awards, and he'll be performing a duet on the show tonight with Willie Nelson. You're watching CNN Headline News.